nutritionist and a yoga teacher, and here to talk to you about nutrition. So, welcome to the show. Please put any questions or comments in the chat section. I love to have a discussion going on with everybody, so please do that. Any questions, any comments? Today, we're talking about sugar and what it does in the body, some hidden sugars. We're going to do some recipes, and it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. So, welcome to the show. So, sugar. Let's just jump right in. Sugar, we all love sugar. It's delicious. It's in desserts, it's in beverages, it's pretty much in a lot of things that taste delicious. So, I'm not here today to tell you to never eat sugar again. I'm just here to tell you that where it is, how much, the recommendation is, and ways that we can reduce sugar in our diet and still enjoy what we eat and drink. So, let's talk about sugar. So, everybody kind of knows what sugar is, like white sugar. You find that in the store for baking, all that kind of stuff. And we know that that's in foods. But there are so many different forms of sugar. So to start off with, we have the natural sweeteners like maple syrup and agave nectar and date sugar and honey, which all of those are great. Those are great because they are less processed and they're more natural and just like the most natural form of something sweet. Although the body does still process it as sugar. It's still considered an added sugar because it's something you're adding to a recipe or a food or a drink or whatever to make it sweeter. So it is still considered an added sugar. But other forms of sugar. So when you're looking at labels or just doing some research on sugar, these are other ways it can be listed. So it can be listed as brown sugar, corn sweetener, corn syrup, fruit juice concentrate, high fructose corn syrup, honey, we just talked about that, invert sugar, malt sugar, molasses, and then any sugar, a sugar syrup molecule that ends in OSE, like maltose, sucrose, dextrose, glucose, lactose, all of those. All of those are sugars, and those you would find in labels. And we're going to talk about some products that, you might not think that you would see sugar in, but it is. And maybe, it's listed as something different, so it's not super obvious how that shows up. So some examples of foods with hidden sugars, we all know that like sodas and fruit juices and fruit drinks, those all have sugar, of course. But then it's also in flavored yogurts. Any yogurt that's flavored is going to have added sugar. And cereals, almost all cereals have sugar, like granola or anything like that, unless it's like a puffed rice. Like you can find those a lot of times at natural food stores, like puffed rice or puffed millet. Those are great because it's just the grain. It has not been sweetened. And then, of course, cookies, candy, cakes, all that. We all know that has sugar. But a lot of times things like soup, like canned or, packaged soups sometimes has sugar in it. Bread very often has sugar in it, which is interesting. You wouldn't think that. I used to do nutrition research, and it was so interesting when we were planning diets. It was so interesting to see how many breads actually had sugar in it. And we would make bread sometimes just so we could not use sugar. What else? Cured meats a lot of times have sugar. Ketchup, it's very sweet. Sauces like marinara sauce, most of the time has sugar in it, unless you find one that says no added sugar. Peanut butters, sometimes peanut butter, not all peanut butter. Natural peanut butter doesn't have sugar, but some of the other processed peanut butters have sugar. Salad dressings, teas that you buy in a bottle usually are sweetened with something. And coffee drinks, we're going to talk about that. I'm going to give some sugar amounts in Starbucks, one of their beverages. Protein powder, that's a big one. So a lot of protein powders have sugar in them. So, if you're looking to not have sugar, read the labels, look for those ingredients that I listed, And look for ones that say unsweetened, or look for ones that just have one ingredient, like the pea protein powder is great because it's just peas. So no added sugar. Protein bars, we'll talk about that later too, and energy, like granola bars and things like that. Those a lot of times have a lot of sugar in them, or a lot of added sugar, which I'll give an example of that in a little bit as well. So those are just a couple of examples of places where you may not think of finding sugar, but there is sugar. So let's take a beverage break. We're going to make strawberry milk, and this is the healthy version of the quick strawberry milk that we used to make as kids. It's delicious. You just add the powder to the milk. But today we are going to make a recipe from Simply Recipes called strawberry milk. And I changed it just a little bit because you know me, I change those a lot. And yeah, strawberry quick. It's so good. I used to drink that all the time. We always had the container at our house for something fun to drink. But today we are making strawberry milk, and the recipe does actually call for using honey, but I'm going to skip that part. I'm here today to show you that there are a lot of times where you don't necessarily have to add the sugar or the sweetener that they recommend. So this is just 2 ingredients. Almond milk, unsweetened, which you can use regular milk too, or any kind of milk that you want. So 1 cup almond milk. And let's see, I covered all of my foods here because it's summer and things fly around the house. And sorry, I didn't even show you. Hi, Kelly! Wow, 2 of Ben's favorite foods. Oh, great. Well, I think he's going to like this. Too bad that he's not here because I would give this to him. Hello, I love sugar. Hi, Mercedes. I know, it's so good. So I put in 4 strawberries that are cut up. Just regular strawberries. 1 cup of almond milk. That's it. And, it's going to be sweet because, if you drink almond milk without fruit in it, it's not super sweet. So this just is an added bonus. So I don't think we need to add extra sugar. Okay, let's blend it up. Strawberry milk. All right. So you know how I love smoothies. So this is just another version. Excuse me. This is just another version of a smoothie, but it's just 2 ingredients. Strawberries and almond milk. And it looks like quick. Oh, thank you for adding the link. Let's give it a taste. That is really, really good. Really, really good. I really recommend it. Strawberries and almond milk. What is that long thing down the center of the blender? Oh, here, let me get it. This comes with the Vitamix, and it just helps. I don't know what it's called exactly, but I always think it's like I don't know what it's called, but it helps with like if you have frozen things, especially to like kind of push them around if like ice or frozen fruit or whatever gets stuck in the blade. It really, really helps. It doesn't touch the blade, but it touches like the top. It's great. Good question. Okay, so we made our beverage. Let's talk about what sugar does to the body, or in the body. I have a lot of things to say about this too, because there was just so much information out there. So it's not all positive stuff. Actually, none of it's positive stuff about sugar. But after that, we'll make something fun to eat that doesn't have sugar. Okay, so one thing that I did find a lot of information on was that sugar suppresses the immune system. So that's interesting information, especially for several hours after eating it. So there was a study. You know how I love to talk about studies. There was a study where people were given some form of sugar, such as glucose, fructose, sucrose, honey, or orange juice. And then their blood was drawn, and they interacted the blood, or they put the blood with some sort of bacteria. And they found that the neutrophils, which are our white blood cells meant to attack bacteria or infections, they were less effective in the blood fighting off the bacteria that they were exposed to. So they found that they were very ineffective for like 1 to 2 hours after the person had just had the sugar, and then the neutrophils became stronger again after like 3 hours or something like that. So if you have sugar in your diet regularly, your immune system's going to get suppressed. So, if you have it for a dessert, every once in a while, after a couple of hours, things go kind of back to normal. So, it's called the accelerator or tamper tool. That's right. Tamper. Thank you. Thank you. That's very helpful. Thank you, Lisa. So yes, the blender, tamper. So back to that. So sugar does suppress the immune system. Another thing, we do have a list. Another thing is it impacts our heart. There was a study in JAMA, the Journal of American Medical Association, said that a high sugar diet does increase our risk of heart disease. So there was a 15-year study, and people who got, I'm going to give some numbers here, people who got 17 to 21% of their calories from added sugar had a 38% higher risk of cardiovascular disease compared to people who had 8% of their calories from added sugars. And I'm going to go over that in a little bit, like what that looks like exactly, like numbers, because, those percents sometimes, you hear them, you're like, well, that's great. But what does that actually mean? I'll give an example. So basically, the bottom line with that one is that lower sugar diets are better for our hearts. Okay, moving on. They do find that blood sugar can raise that sugar can raise blood pressure and also increase inflammation, which is also not great for the heart. The blood pressure increase and the inflammation. And we all know, that it can, this is another thing, it can lead to weight gain, which is also not great for our heart. So this was interesting. They found that a diet high in fructose, which is in high fructose corn syrup, it's in honey, it's a form of sugar that's in sugars. A diet high in fructose can cause resistance to one of our hormones called leptin. Leptin's a hormone that tells our body when we're full, and so sugar kind of makes it less effective, the leptin. So then we tend to overeat because our body's not telling us we're full. So sugar can do that. Interesting. And it can lead also to diabetes because of all the extra sugar in our bodies that spikes our blood sugar, which then makes us have to use more insulin, and then just, puts a lot of pressure on the body and could cause type 2 diabetes. So let's take a little break here on what it does to the body. I'll give you numbers because I like numbers. And it might be helpful to just throw that out there. So the American Heart Association says that men should consume no more than 150 calories a day from added sugars. So that comes down to 38 grams of sugar. And that is about the same amount of sugar that's in a can of soda. So if you have a can of soda, that's all the sugar for the day. But, you know what I mean. So limit your soda. But that's just kind of to give an example of what that amount looks like. So men should have no more than 38 grams a day of added sugar. And women should have no more than 25 grams a day from added sugar, about 100 calories. So on labels, I have a little protein bar here. I'm just using it for the label, but I also like these because they have dates in them, but no added sugar. So when you're looking at the label, see the total carbs? This one says 24. Then fiber, 3 grams. Total sugar is 18 grams. And then including 0 grams of added sugars. So added sugars is what you're looking for here. When you're looking at labels, look for the added sugars. So this one has 0 because it's really just egg whites, almonds, cashews, dates. No BS. That's what it says. So just to keep that in mind. So approximately 38 or less grams for men, approximately 25 grams or less for women. So just to keep that in mind. So let's go back to the topic of what else it does to our bodies. So they have found that it may be eating a lot of sugar may be a contributor to acne. Because of the spiked blood sugar and insulin, it affects our hormones that affect our skin, and then it increases oil production in our skin and increases inflammation, so it could also influence our skin. It also may increase the risk of depression, which, at first you think, what? That's crazy because sugar makes me happy. But the reason for this is because of all the swinging, the blood sugar swings. Like you have a lot of sugar, you feel great, and then you crash, and then you go up, and that affects our neurotransmitters and our inflammation, and that can impact our mental health. Let's see. Oh, thanks. I always have leftover pieces of frozen fruit, even after blending. I guess I should be using that. I have one. I just had no idea what it was. Oh, good. Yeah, it really does help. Because I'm always, especially, I don't know, if there's like a lot of food in the blender, I feel like it just helps smash things down. So I use it all the time. It's really helpful. So back to what it's doing with depression, sugar. There was a study of 8,000 people for 22 years. And men that consumed 67 grams or more of sugar a day were 23% more likely to develop depression versus men who had less than 40 grams a day, which fits right into the recommendation of 38 grams a day for men. So that was interesting. I'll just go through the rest a little bit quickly because it looks like we're running out of time. This is just such an exciting topic. Sugar may also accelerate the skin aging process. So basically, it affects it could damage the collagen and elastin in our body, which keeps the skin firm. It also drains energy, which we kind of know. No, you have sugar, spikes your blood sugar, spikes your insulin, and then you crash to like a level that was below your energy level before you had the sugar. So it is, it does drain your energy. So if you are going to have something with sugar, they recommend to pair it with something with protein or fat. So if you're going to have an apple, although apples we'll get into that in a moment, but if you're going to have an apple, have some almonds with it or have some peanut butter on it. Or if you're going to have, what else? And grapes, let's say, for example, then have some cheese. So one thing, too, though, good about fruit is that the fiber in the fruit does help slow down the action of the sugar in our bodies. So it is good to have protein with it, too. But fruit is way better than drinking, like, fruit juice because fruit does have the fiber. Fruit juice doesn't have the fiber. So fruit juice just spikes the blood sugar right away. Okay, drains our energy. And then, of course, have to say this. It does impact our teeth. It does negatively impact our dental health and can cause cavities eating a lot of sugar. And the last but not least thing that I did find was that it could accelerate cognitive decline. So it could impair our memory or impaired memory and increase the risk of dementia. So those are all the things about sugar. But let's talk positives. There are so many ways to still get sweetness without using sugar. So I'm going to give a couple examples, then we're going to make some. Actually, let's make something first because it does have to sit for a little bit. So the next recipe is also a recipe. The first recipe I said was Simply Recipes, which you can find on relish.com. And the second recipe you can also find on relish.com from a blog called machismo.com. The recipe is called, I have the recipe on the wall here so I can read it while we're talking. The recipe is called That Strawberry Thing. I have a strawberry theme because strawberry season, and there's just so many strawberries around. So it's called That Strawberry Thing on machismo.com blog. And it's basically toasts with cream cheese, and then you make a balsamic strawberry topping. And it does call for a pinch of sugar, but we're not putting it in because I don't think we need it. But it is a sweet, delicious meal, and you don't have to be super worried about adding any sugar. So here are strawberries. It said 1.5 to 2 cups of strawberries. And then it says 1 to 2 tablespoons of balsamic. Okay. We're adding that on, and let's give it a stir. Where did my spoon go? Okay, I gotta get a spoon. Okay, and then you're just supposed to let this sit for a little bit so that the strawberries can absorb the flavor and soften a little bit, and add a little salt. It's suggested, and a little pepper. I don't think it's suggested pepper, but I'm adding pepper. Okay, so we've got strawberries, and so I chopped them really small. You can do whatever size you want, but I just think it's easier to eat on top of a toast. And we're using bread that didn't have the added sugar in it. All right. Here we go. Strawberries, we're going to let that sit. But some ways to reduce sugar in your diet. Oh, and then I want to give some examples. We do have a lot to talk about. Oh, yes. And we have 8 minutes left. Gosh, it goes so fast. So ways to reduce. So if you wanted to have a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, instead of the jelly, you could do sliced bananas or another fruit, like sliced nectarine is always really good. Okay. Okay, I will a bit longer. Yeah, because we have so much to talk about. Okay, thank you. And then what else? Oh, and then if you're drinking alcohol and you usually have like a beverage with the alcohol that has sugar, just try to have something else. Like instead of like a vodka and soda, or no, vodka and like Coke or something, have vodka and soda. So that really decreases the amount of sugar. And and then marinara. That was my other example, is to make your own marinara. I was just speaking with somebody yesterday that said that they use a recipe for marinara where they use carrots to sweeten it instead of sugar. I thought that was an excellent idea. So, my next examples, I've done a talk on sugar and smoothies and things like that before, and so I have this printout of some other places. Oh, hi, Myra. Okay, I will. I'll talk longer. Thanks, everybody. That's so great. I feel like everybody's here in my kitchen with me. That's so fun. Okay, so a couple of examples of how much sugar is in things, especially when we're out. So first off is the McDonald's mango pineapple smoothie. And this is something, it sounds healthy, but a small, which I don't know how many ounces a small is, has, where's the sugar? 42 grams of sugar. And the ingredients, it's just like basically all sugar. It's pineapple juice concentrate, mango puree concentrate, mango juice concentrate, and just a lot of juice concentrates, which tend to have a lot of sugar. And then Jamba Juice. This was interesting. So I chose 2 different Jamba Juices. One is called the Aloha Pineapple Smoothie, and one is called the Mango Chia Omega Smoothie. And I chose small as the option, which, again, I don't know how many ounces that is. But the Jamba Juice Aloha Pineapple Smoothie has pineapple juice, strawberries, pineapple, sherbet. So kind of a dessert in there. And then some Greek yogurt and bananas and ice. And this has 67 grams of sugar. The mango chia omega smoothie from Jamba Juice was much cleaner. Like it was just fruit and yogurt and chia seeds. Soy milk, I don't know if that was sweetened or not. But that one had 44 grams. So the first one had 67. The second one had 44. So it's less, but still kind of a lot. And then the Starbucks, I looked up the caramel frappuccino because I know that that's a really popular one. And chose the 16 ounce, which I think that might be a small there. I'm not sure, for a cold beverage. Had 57 grams of carbs and 55 of those were sugar. So that's definitely more than the daily recommendation. And then, so the other tricky thing I was talking about before is granola bars. I baked muffins and replaced the cane sugar with agave. It said to remove some liquid, but the recipe didn't have liquid to remove. What do you do? Interesting. I wonder if, because I guess muffins wouldn't have liquid. So I guess the only thing I could think would be like if there was butter or eggs or something. I don't know. Because, I can't imagine, like, add flour. Let's see. I think that you could just do the same amount of, like, agave for sugar. I think that would just turn out fine. So you already baked them. Did you remove a liquid? That's interesting. But if it did seem too thin, I guess you could add a little bit more flour. I think that would probably work. And let's see what you said. But in the Starbucks drinks, was the added sugar or the normal sugars found in the coffee? They actually didn't list it, which I don't know if they don't have to or what, but it did not have sugar versus added sugar. So I'm kind of guessing that it was, I don't know, it might have been 55 grams of added sugar because those are so sweet. Because there was 57 grams of carb, 55 grams of sugar. So I don't know. I'll do some research on that and find out because I would like to know that as well. Kelly, I added flour and they were dry. Oh. Okay, I don't know. I've never seen that when they say that before. But I would say just substitute the agave for the sugar, like for the same amount and not add the flour. But I love the idea of using agave, maple, and honey. Yeah, I do too. I just always feel better when I do that. I usually always use maple syrup for everything. That's my sugar replacer all the time. So, one other product I wanted to discuss was granola bars and granola/energy bars. So there's so many out there, and a lot of them have so much sugar. That's why I like this RX bar, and I also buy Lara bars, which they do have dates, but they don't have any added things to make them sweeter. But things like Kind bars, I mean, I hate to say it because I love Kind bars. They are delicious, but they always have so much sugar. I was looking at one, it was like chocolate and almond, and it had honey and sugar and glucose syrup in it. I mean, there are other good things like almonds and chocolate, but I don't know. I just think those should be kind of considered more desserts than a health food. But just something to consider. So let's see. Another piece of information I found said that the highest the biggest food source of sugar in the American diet is in beverages. So 25% from soft drinks, 11% from fruit drinks, 3% from energy drinks, and 7% from coffee drinks. So that's kind of a lot. I joined a little late. Would you be able to explain the added sugars? Yes. Hi, Myra. No problem. So, it lists sugars and then it lists added sugars. And added sugars is just referring to anything that's been used in addition to anything that's been used to sweeten the food or whatever, the food or drink. So that could be honey, that could be maple syrup, that could be sugar, that could be corn syrup, that could be fruit juice concentrate. So it's basically anything that's been added to sweeten is considered added sugar. So, and that's what the American Heart Association was talking about for added sugar amounts, that men should have 38 grams or less and women should have 25 grams or less of added sugars per day. So that's something to consider. Let's go back to that recipe. I think the strawberries are probably nicely marinated in the balsamic now. And then we're going to put, I'm just going to bring this over here because it's a little bit closer. We have bread, we have cream cheese. And this is delicious. This is a nice alternative to like peanut butter and jelly or anything that would be a sweet. Thank you. Oh yeah, sure. Okay, so we have bread, we have cream cheese. We have strawberries. Actually, I'm going to put this back on the plate. Make it a little bit easier to see and to put the topping on. Strawberries. So this is a really good lunch. This is a really good, if you have little pieces of bread or crackers. Actually, I think the recipe called for English muffin. But if you're having people over, this is a nice little appetizer or lunch. Strawberries, balsamic vinegar, and then you top it with basil, which I got this out of our garden. My husband is very good with gardening. There we go. This is going to be a little appetizer for our dinner tonight. So again, that's called That Strawberry Thing, which I think I was thinking that the person that made that recipe probably was always made that for parties or something, and people are always like, "What was that strawberry thing?" So that was it. So I really recommend it. And strawberry milk, really good. You really don't need to add sweetener. You can, for sure. But you don't have to, because it's sweeter than it would have been if you were drinking almond milk plain. So, I don't know. That's just my thought. So, anyway, I think I have discussed everything I plan to discuss today. Thank you, everybody, for your questions and your comments. It was a lot of fun having you all here. And please come back on Mondays from 4 to 4:30. And we also have other shows during the week from 4 to 4:30. So check those out as well. And I will be back on Monday. Thank you. Have a great week. I have gotten used to the taste of less sugar, though, thankfully. Oh, yeah, I know. Me too. I think it helps to like once you've had less of it and then you have it again and everything tastes kind of sweet. So anyway, thank you all for joining me. Thank you so much. Have a great night. I'll talk to you again next Monday. Bye.